Welcome to People. I'm Shirley Lin. Today I have Fanny Hsu in the studio with me. She is the director of Coretronic Culture and Arts Foundation. And we're going to hear a lot of her stories about how she spent 18 years abroad and how she came back to discover Tama through a very special way. So let's talk to Fanny. Hi, Fanny.
Hi, Shirley. Hi, everyone.
Hello. Yeah. All right. You spent 18 years abroad, and you were abroad starting in high school. Mm-hmm. Where did you go, and what did you do?
At age 15, I was sent to Canada to study in Vancouver high school, and then I went to college in Toronto. And after I finished college, I went to New York and spent 10 years studying and working there. I still think it's the best city in the world for people in the art profession. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So what was your major specifically?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. A lot of people ask me now, how did I get into the art business?
Yeah.
I think before, when we were growing up in Taiwan, if you're good with school, I don't think you can ever imagine. I can't even imagine myself getting into the area of art.
All right.
Because art equal poverty, maybe, or
someone actually said that to you?
No, I think it's just I think it's embedded in a lot of our thinking. Unless you're truly passionate about art, you do have to take the consequences with you.
Right.
Yeah.
What about your parents? What did they think about the arts?
I think they've always been quite encouraging. I know we took some art classes. Yeah. And so they gave us the options. But I think it's just myself thinking, if I want to be able to hold a job and support myself, art may not be a good profession to get into.
Right.
Yeah. But I think that's why it's so amazing. When I left Taiwan to go to Canada and study, one of the art classes, teacher in art class, asked me one question when we were thinking about our major in college, and she told me, if you're so passionate about art, why can't you think about getting into the art profession and make it as part of your career? Before that, I don't think I actually seriously think about it.
So you think you got your interest into arts because of the
inspiration of the teacher?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, in Canada.
In Canada.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought about taking an art studio. Then you become like an artist. But her words reminded me or inspired me to look into other options, and that's how I found a program called Arts Management, which combined art history and business management. So, and that was the time when I think the programs just started. In the West, people realize, they need people who are in both sides, who have a very solid business training as well as a solid art background. To run places like museums or galleries.
So this teacher must have discovered something about your talent in arts. Were you into drawing or photography, or what was it?
That was another interesting story.
Yeah.
When we first went to Canada, of course, our English is not good enough, but we are very good in vocabulary. That's the upbringing in Taiwan. We have all the cram school. And
yes, we memorize all the vocabularies.
Right. But of course, speaking and writing are not the best. So first we were sent to art classes, because that's the class we don't really need to talk too much.
Huh? No, really?
Yeah. Not all classes, but one or two art classes. Because in Taiwan, I think we skip a lot of art classes. For me, so it's like heaven. So she can tell that I was, very happy in doing a lot of drawing and painting, and also took ceramic classes, pottery making. Yeah, that's something you don't do.
Wow. Well, let me ask you, did you ever get to make rings? Jewelry?
Jewelry.
Did you?
I think I took classes later on, metal. Yes. I love that. Any crafts, handmaids, you actually create with your own hands. I like that.
Because I spent my high school years, junior high and high school years in Japan, and I went to an international school. And actually for art classes, we got to play around with metal. And I remember making a ring, most simple kind of ring.
Yeah, it's the most amazing thing to get a work of art by your own hands.
Right.
So that's I think that's the excitement you get when you are doing art creation.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about just your experience in art galleries, antiques, especially Chinese antiques and auctions.
Yes.
I mean, you're young, and I couldn't imagine you understanding Chinese antiques.
Yeah. That's another interesting fact. After I finished college in Toronto, so I know art management. It's one of the career I like to pursue. So I applied NYU, New York University, and got into the master program. It's called Visual Arts Administration. So they get into a very specific field. They have performing arts administration. They also have visual arts administration. So in that field, we study about how you manage an art gallery or art auction or even an art foundation. And so every day you read about, and it's all more practical training rather than theoretical, like writing a paper. So we read New York Times every single day, learning about the real situations facing by all those organizations. And we do case studies on the challenges and opportunities that each museum or foundation or galleries faces. So it's a real life experience. And we also had to do internships in museums or galleries.
Yeah.
So I think I was very fortunate. Right after school, I was able to find a job working at an art gallery, specialized in Chinese antiques.
Wow.
I can use my language, background in Chinese, but not so much about the Chinese art history. Because I know back in Taiwan we study about all those histories, but I probably didn't pay too much attention to that.
You're being so funny here.
But the memories, it's just have to memorize all those facts can be boring. So I have to learn from scratch. But it's fun learning by handling works of art. But of course, you reminded me all the stories we hear all the time when we're little, which is my boss would never know, including like we handle.
Your boss is Caucasian, right?
Yeah,
not Asian.
Americans. But
right.
He used to work for Sotheby's and was the president of North America. So after several years working in the auction business and in the Chinese antique field, he left the corporation and started his own gallery.
Oh, wow.
So most of his clients are collectors passionate about Chinese works of art who's been collecting and learning about Chinese culture for over 20-30 years. So it's amazing journey to be talking to those people while they're so much into Chinese philosophy and culture and to be working with them.
Yeah, I just realized that actually the customers that you're dealing with while you're working at the gallery are actually Caucasians, Americans, foreigners
or Europeans
who are foreign to the Chinese history or arts.
Yeah.
And so that makes you stand out for your role. It becomes very important in your position to explain and and impresses them.
Yeah, I think it's a mutual learning. You know, I tell them stories I know about. For the Moon Festival, for example, we enjoy the moon with your family and we look at Chang'e. And the rabbit on the moon. Stories like this, they depict on the Han Dynasty bronze mirror. But people look at this story, they don't understand the meaning behind it. I was able to tell them, that's everybody knows that when we were a little kid, that's what we were told. So there's a lot of stories, children's stories that
and
we know.
They get fascinated with these kind of stories.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I was thinking that if you're dealing with Chinese customers, they might even correct you for
So that's a good excuse, I can come up with a story and I can never know if it's real or not.
Well, of course, I mean, you're very professional at this. I'm sure that, we don't fool, we don't fool them. But,
yes. But it's a very scholarly research. We have an amazing library. We invest a lot of money into research books, so cataloging correctly.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a fascinating time. I was there for 7-8 years working in New York.
Did you have time to come with a book author
every
a book
year
yourself?
we do a special exhibition.
Yeah,
so that's
because
once a year annual event during the Asia Week in New York. It's a 1 or 2 weeks of all Asian art collectors will come to the city of New York. You have non-stop gallery openings and auctioned. That is a one-stop shopping for everybody.
Yeah.
So during that time, we come up with a special catalog, exhibition catalog.
In English and Chinese, or
both?
Both, yeah. Oh, tough job on you.
No, it's a fun time.
But it's a fun, doing what you like the most.
Yeah, because we gather important pieces and put it together under a theme. And for people to come and enjoy. Yeah.
I have very bad memories. I can't imagine you studying up on Chinese antique, right? Yeah. And then trying to remember where this pottery, what dynasty this pottery is from, or what year this, vase is from.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah, I think it was the experience. A lot of people ask me, how do you become a specialist in Chinese antiques? Is there books or is there a video that they can do a cram on, a study on, a crash course perhaps.
Right.
But I think it's difficult to just train your eyes with reading. What's fascinating about the job is the hands-on. You get to touch the works of art.
Really?
Versus
it's all right to touch?
Yes.
I mean, most of the times when you go
That's
to
how we
a
learn.
museum, you're not supposed to touch. You can only watch, see
that's
with
why
the
we
eyes.
advise people who might be interested in collecting is to learn from the best and to train your eyes. Of course, going to museums are important because those are works of art that passed the time, the challenge of the time, and they are timeless. So you can train your eyes by looking. But I think that's only step one. Yeah. But to be able to hold the piece, works of art, and to understand it, I think it's the best way to learn and train. And once you train your eyes, you know what's the best, and then you can tell. Right. Good and
really,
good and bad. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. What about auctions?
That's another fascinating.
I think that's a very tense thing, Well, maybe you're not the one who kind of takes up the chop and kind of calls out
the auctioneers.
Because I think that's really a very tense kind of moment. But what's auction like? I mean, what was the role that you played at these auctions? You yourself?
Yeah, I worked with Sotheby's for 1 year, and I was the Chinese specialist. So what you do is you do business getting. So you ask collectors or dealers to consign works of art to the company, and we hold auctions several times a year and all over the world, including New York, Hong Kong, Paris, and London for Chinese works of art.
You travel to these places and hold the auctions there, and you actually transport all these art pieces? That is a lot of work. I thought you only hold auctions in New York.
No,
but you
all
actually
around the world. That's only for Chinese works of art, but there's several. They have several locations all over internationally. So a specialist job is to catalog the works of art correctly, both in Chinese and English, and to give a proper estimate. And at the auction day, all the collector will come to one room and bid the pieces what they want. But before that, we have a preview where people of interest might come in and handle the pieces and to examine the conditions. Because you can, You're talking about these people who are not the one that buying the art pieces. Both. I think the public can go, and then the collectors who are interested in buying, of course, will do the preview session before the auctions actually takes place. Oh, I see. Yeah. Then I think there are also people who need to be there traveling with you to take care of the art pieces, to clean it up and polish it. Of course, and to be put on display. So it's a huge crew. Of course. How many people go with each auction? I mean, travel with you to these auctions? I think each office, they have a local departments that handle the sales. Okay. Oh, so you actually have branch offices at all of these different major cities. Yes. Oh, yes. I get it. Oh, all right. But especially was sent there because you might need to understand the client's needs, and you might explain to them the conditions of the works of art and give them your opinions on some of those pieces. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Now, these buyers, when they're at the auctions, I mean, they don't get to touch the art pieces, can they?
They can, of course. They have to.
With
if
gloves.
you're spending over $1 million.
Because it's never shown in movies.
I know.
Maybe
that's a secret.
I
if you're
see.
spending that much money, I think
really?
We always advise you have to see in person. But if you cannot see in person, you have to find a trustworthy specialist to
really
to examine it for you.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's one of the job is to write down the condition reports, to give careful examination, to give good advices to people who might be interested in buying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know that there was a certain program that actually persuaded Fanny to come back to Taiwan and discover Taiwan all over again from what she knew before as a girl. But we're going to learn all about that and her other stories right after this. Welcome back to People. I'm Shirley Lin. Today, my guest is Fanny Hsu, who is the director of Coretronic Culture and Arts Foundation. Now, earlier on, we were talking about just how she spent 18 years abroad and that you were into galleries, art galleries, and auctions. You know, I have a question for you, though. I'm just really curious. Was there ever any time at a formal auction that someone yelled out and said, "This is fake"?
Not on the auction day, I hope not.
I meant on the auction day.
But but I think if it's
never
a
happened
right
to you.
auction, never. But if it's a right auction, we always open for discussion. Because professional, someone asked me what's an expert. I think expert is someone who's made all the mistakes they can make. Then you become an expert on things.
True.
So I think it's okay to be open and to have opinions, to welcome different opinions, but you come down to a conclusion. But even the world famous experts cannot agree on one famous painting or another, but you do the best you can, and there's different ways, you know, like what I mentioned before, the training of your eyes and the careful research and scholarly research that can help you to the conclusion, I hope.
Oh, wow.
Never on the day, I hope.
We cross our fingers, never ever. Really. Well, there was a program. Actually, it's still going on. It is a program called the Wanderer Program, kind of started by Cloudgate, and in fact by the founder, Lin Huaimin, who was a famous worldwide famous dance choreographer. So, what is this program? Because in fact, it's this program that brought you back to Taiwan.
Yeah, I think it also changed lives of many people, artists and social workers here in Taiwan. It's a program, like you mentioned, started when Lin Huaimin Lao Shi received the National Award for the Art in 2004. So he gave the money back to the Cloudgate Foundation and started this program. It was the time, I think, early on in his lifetime, he had a chance to travel to India and was very inspired by it. So
a lot of people do after they make a trip to India.
So he wanted to program Lin Huaimin Lao Shi early on in his lifetime, spent some time self-reflecting back in India. So in 2005, so 第一届, the Wonder Program started. So the purpose of the program is to inspire young artists in visual art, performing arts, movie, literature, or music to be able to go outside of Taiwan to explore. But there's several conditions. One, you have to travel independently and in a backpacking way, and it has to be one of the countries within Asia. Okay. So that's quite interesting. A lot of people ask why within Asia. I think it was Lin Huaimin Lao Shi realized many people when they travel, they will go to places like New York or London, major cities, but not many people travel within Asia to understand cultures that's closer to Taiwan.
I think maybe that's because we all think that if it's all Asian, they're all kind of related and kind of similar. So we want to discover something that's really very different or opposite from the Eastern art. So that's my guessing. I guess that's why. But that's interesting within Asia. But then I thought that maybe because then it would only require a smaller budget as compared to travel.
Then maybe that's
so
another
that you have more,
condition.
People having the opportunity to be a wanderer and discover that country or that country's culture. Anyway, so go on. Yeah.
Yes. So back in 2009, when I came back to Taiwan, I realized I don't really understand the Taiwan culture. I've been away for so long, and I need to be reminded of who I really am, and to know more about Taiwan. So I remember on the grant proposal, I wrote, I don't need to 流浪 again. I've been 流浪 for the past 18.
You've been a wanderer
almost
for
2 decades.
Right.
Yeah. Even though the program specifically states that it's outside of Taiwan.
Right.
But I told them, I don't think I need to travel outside. I need to come back to my hometown, Taiwan, to really understand and explore Taiwan.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they gave you a stamp of okay.
Yeah, I'm very lucky.
Yeah, an exceptional, right, opportunity for you. Great. So, what did you do?
I called the journey after I finished the 2 months travel called 停, 看停. 停, I think it's a pause in life to slow down for me, to really 看. But I think it's not with the eyes to see, it's to see it with my heart. Ting, I think we spend a lot of time talking, listening of course, but never listening actively. So I gave myself a break of 2 months to actually travel to different places I rarely go. And to do all those things.
Wow, that was very well said. A great perspective.
Yeah. So
2 months.
2 months. But the funny thing is, I never get so nervous traveling to places I've never been. I spent time backpacking in South America by myself for 2 months.
Okay.
Never get this agitated or nervous. But because abroad, you can always buy a travel book, a guidebook.
Right.
I can tell you, okay, where to stay, like Lonely Planet, and the major tourist sites.
Right.
So you can follow the instructions and you'll be all fine. But I know in Taiwan, I don't want to be a tourist. I'm from Taiwan. I want to really learn about people like in Tainan, people in Kaohsiung, people in Taidong, or even people on Orchid Island, how they live, what they think, what are their passions, and how they go by daily life. So at first I was really nervous because there's no guidebook that tell you how you do that.
Was that one of the regulations? You're not supposed to bring a guidebook?
No, there's no regulation. Only you have to travel alone. But I think it's a very, very smart condition because when you travel alone, you have to talk to other people.
Right. Yeah, that's
you don't have a friend or a company you can chat with.
Right.
So you get to immerse yourself into a brand new situation.
Yeah, well, that's so cool.
To meet the locals. So I think that's one of the rules I gave myself, that I don't want to do a tourist trip. I want to actually live there for a long period of time and to live like the locals and to understand them and to hear their stories.
So how long did you spend in each place then? How many days?
About 10 to 15 days.
Oh,
but
really?
in Taidong, I spent almost a month there. I think that's a place, a beautiful place. I sent pictures to friends overseas. They can't believe there are places like this in Taiwan. But there's so many places that we don't realize how beautiful they are within Taiwan.
Right.
Practically nowadays, you have a little break in between job during the work days. I tell friends you don't need like 2 weeks off to Europe. You just spend a week, find a place in Taiwan. They can be as beautiful as you imagine. Yeah.
And it looks like you didn't have any reason to be nervous because you apparently after you spent one night at a certain place, or maybe like a B&B or a friend's place or something like that, that person will introduce you to the next place to spend the following night.
Yes.
And because a lot of foreigners in Taiwan say the Taiwanese people are very, very friendly.
Yeah.
But you, it seems like you as a foreigner coming back to Taiwan, that's how you've discovered that Taiwanese people are very friendly.
Yes.
You had no reason to be afraid and to be worried because they're always people want to be helping you.
Exactly. Too bad I only did it for 2 months. I think I can do it for free meals
Forever.
and accommodation forever. Yeah. But that's
so
how
cool.
what I find out. But we all know Taiwanese people 非常有人情味. They're really passionate and they're very kind. They like people like you and me. They're like normal people, regular people, but I think they're extraordinary.
Yeah.
So every places I go, I got maybe one friend. They're all strangers before, but one friend referred to another, and when they hear about my stories, they are welcoming with both hands open and just allow me to stay at their places. But of course, because I stay at their places, I get to hear their stories.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so neat. How did you get into Coretronic Culture and Arts Foundation? How did you get in this foundation?
After the trip, the wonder trip, I was struggling whether I should continue to stay in Taiwan or maybe go back to New York to pursue my art career.
Oh, you still miss New York,
yes,
huh?
I think it is the best city in the world. For people who are into art, you have non-stop all the art gallery, art exhibitions, and you meet different amazing people there. But I think the 2 months trip in Taiwan, like I said, I've seen many young people who have dreams, but actually not just dream, but actually pursue their dreams. And I see regular people who are extraordinaries, people who I think Taiwanese people are very hardworking. And,
for sure.
Definitely. So I see that quality, the spirits of Taiwan. So I want to do more things for Taiwan.
Okay.
To give back to Taiwan and see what I can offer. Yeah. So when this opportunity comes up, Coretronic is a corporation. They do LED backlight, and they also own the projector brand Optima.
Right.
I want to give back to the society and started a Culture and Arts Foundation. I took the opportunity to say, here I am, what can I do for you?
Right.
So promoting culture in the light and art and the awareness of light in the foundation.
Oh,
the foundation.
Okay. Yeah, because I was flipping through, the website, and it's amazing what light can do to anything.
Yes.
Anything. And so, my question is, how's lighting I want to say the art of lighting, how's lighting different from art in general?
Yeah, that's a very interesting, good question, actually. For people, I've met many people in Taiwan. I think the study, the upbringing, the school education didn't allow us to get too close to art. So people are afraid of art. They think art is so high up there on the pedestal. That's not part of our daily life. So I think the interesting thing about light is you need light. Right? When you wake up in the morning, when you go to the office, you turn on the light and you switch the light. So I think light is a very good 切入点, maybe entryway for people to say, maybe it's not that far away. So we're using light as part of the reason to allow people to be more sensitive to their surrounding.
I see.
Yeah.
So what kind of programs does the foundation have?
Yeah, the foundation, this is only our second year, the third year. It was founded
so it's pretty new.
By the end of 2010. So we have workshops, we have lectures, we hold performances that will inspire people to be more aware of light and culture. So last year, we did a program called That's Sense Light, a city project. So we did one in Taipei. We also hold another one in Tainan. And Tainan, I think it's one of the best cities in Taiwan with the cultural depth and many people who are dedicated in the culture. So we pick a temple 风神庙.
Okay.
It's they worship the god of wind, which is very rare in Taiwan. That we use a very simple design concept, less is more, to redecorating the lighting environment, to change it completely, but very, very minimal changes, but people can feel it. Because in Taiwan, I think when we're little, we know the guangchang, plaza in front of the temple are where people gather.
Yes.
Yeah, but now with television and with internet and with Facebook, people spend time more indoor than outdoor. So the first time we stopped by the plaza, it was completely dark with street light, very scary place. And with the power of light, we actually decorated the place just like your living room. It's a pleasant environment. We hope in that way more people will be drawn to step outside of their own living room and to hear stories by grandpa telling
in
stories
the plazas and temples.
Yes,
get people more outdoors. I see. Oh, that is so neat. When you said less is more, I was just thinking that, well, that's good, because how we should be saving energy these days. I'm going like, you're into LED and lights, but that all, eats up a lot of electricity.
Exactly.
But then you're saying less is more.
The issue is light pollution.
Okay,
the more,
light pollution.
Yeah, when we don't know how to use light properly, I think with sense and sensibility, and that's part of aesthetic. When you're more aware of how you can use light, then the less light pollution it can be. But I think we are not giving choices about how to use them properly. So we're just providing the public an opportunity to see, this is what we can do. But the idea is simple,
The concept is simple, but I'm sure that the ideas and programs and projects that emits from light is boundless.
Absolutely. Photography has to do with lights and shadow, projectors.
Shadows, that's right.
Light and shadow, it's one or the other. You come together. You can talk about light without talking about shadow. And in performing arts, you use stage light, theater light. So there's all sorts of possibilities.
It's true, it's true.
And when people say, this is so far away, it's so hard to understand, it is abstract. But I ask them, have you ever been moved by sunrise or sunset? If you ever feel something, just a little things, then you can be interested in arts and culture.
Well, Fanny, thank you very much. This is so exciting. I want to learn more about the foundation and what it does, because I can imagine that ideas are boundless, and it's great. Nobody ever thought about focusing on just the light itself and what it can do for people's lives and stories. Thank you, Fanny.
Thank you, Shirley.
All right. Well, good luck at the foundation.
Thank you.
Hope you continue to broaden a lot more programs, and can't wait to hear more stories from you.
Absolutely.
All right,
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for watching, people. I'm Shirley Lin.